What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 12 of It Came from Beyond the Videostore Shelves, the video podcast where I go through all of the unwatched movies in my massive VHS collection to try to find some stuff that maybe I've been sleeping on, some hidden gems, if you will. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at a horror slasher film from 1985 called Junior. This says it's the most deranged lunatic ever to stalk the screen. First you saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, then you met Freddy in Nightmare on Elm Street. Now meet Junior. A cut above. And this particular VHS copy I have is pretty beat to shit. It's a Prism release. It does still have the flap intact, which is nice. A lot of times they would rip or cut these flaps off. So even though it's real wrinkly in the front, it's kind of beat to shit, it's still a pretty nice box. So let's get into what Junior is all about, because he has some pretty big shoes to fill if they're going to compare it to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Nightmare on Elm Street right on the cover of this thing. Which of course is a really good tactic to get people, to pick this up at the video store, which I give it to him. It does have some really cool cover art here. It's very Texas Chainsaw style cover work with, him with the chainsaw ripping through. It's super nice. I think it's enticing. This would definitely be something that I would pick up, I would rent, and to take home and check out. But the question is, does the movie kind of hold up to the cover art and how good this tape looks? And we'll get to that stuff. So basically, what we have going on in Junior is you have these two ladies, Casey and Joe. At the beginning of the movie, they are getting released from prison. And it doesn't say what they're in prison for, but it's something drug-related, I'm imagining. Because as soon as they get out of prison, they're attacked by this pimp drug dealer who is, kind of looking for them. And he goes to abduct these two women, and he's saying like, you told the police about the drugs and all this shit. So it's definitely, drug related, the reason these two were picked up. But anyway, Casey and Joe end up fighting this pimp that tries to abduct him, and they steal his car, and they haul ass in his convertible. And inside that convertible, they find a shotgun and a big wad of money. So they decide to go on the run. And they happen to just kind of pass through this small town. And they decide that they're going to take this money and they're going to lease this rundown ass, boat dock, and try to open a marina where, one of the girls are going to work on boat engines because she has a mechanic background. She took mechanical classes in prison, they said. And the other one's going to run some type of concession slash, bar, restaurant type bullshit in this marina. And that's going to be, their safe haven. That's where they're going to go to escape everything and kind of start anew with all this money they stole from their pimp. But anyway, Casey and Joe lease this marina, and the first night they're awoken by a commotion outside, and it ends up being a big gang of locals, these local coon asses that party at this abandoned marina. And one of these guys, really the most rowdy one, the one that's kind of way out of line, is Junior. And Junior is he's a little slow. Junior's kind of slow, and he's overly violent. So they have this confrontation with Junior and his friends, and one of the girls end up pulling a shotgun on these guys to get them off of their property. They're destroying the property. They kind of capture one of the ladies that's trying to tell them, this is our place, y'all need to leave. And that kind of pisses all these local good old boys off. They're not too happy with it, especially Junior. Junior is really not happy that these girls pulled this shotgun on him. So, what ends up happening is, among this group of guys that are raising hell at this marina that they're trespassing at, one of these dudes is the local sheriff. So he decides that he's going to make everybody go home. But Junior doesn't take kindly to that, and he decides that, he's going to get back at these ladies. He's going to get back at Casey and Joe for pulling that gun on him. So Junior goes home and he talks to his mother, and he's living with his mom, and it's really kind of a Norman Bates type relationship with his mother. She's obviously batshit crazy as well, and they decide that Casey and Joe can't treat Junior like this, and he's gonna avenge himself. He's gonna do something about it. He's gonna get them back. And the whole time that he's kind of stalking and harassing these women and showing up and just terrorizing these poor girls, his mother is across this little lake that this marina's on. She sits on the back dock of her home with binoculars watching all this shit that her son is doing to terrorize these women, and it seems that she gets a great amount of pleasure out of this. So she's obviously has problems herself. And along the way, the girls end up meeting a traveling plant connoisseur, I guess you would say, that lives on a houseboat, and befriends him. And they also kind of warm up to one of these guys that was in this group that woke them up at the marina the first night. This guy named Bud. And so Bud kind of starts seeing the one girl, and they have this other guy living on the houseboat, and he kind of starts seeing the other girl. So now you kind of have 4 people around this marina, and then there's another woman that comes into the picture, who was a woman that Junior was trying to rape. He was chasing this woman through the woods by the marina, and Casey and Joe and Bud go to intervene, and they kind of save this woman and take this woman in as well. Anyway, shit keeps happening. Junior keeps showing up, just doing kind of, juvenile, maybe slightly violent juvenile shit, pranks on these girls, just dumb crap. But then it kind of gets serious whenever the girls discover a dead body that's been rotting and decaying at this marina. So now they're convinced that not only is Junior a nuisance, he's a murderer as well, and now their life is in danger. It's not just this cat and mouse fucking Tom and Jerry bullshit. Junior might kill them, and then this goes on for a little while, and they get to kind of the climax of the film. Is they continue to reach out to the sheriff to try to get the sheriff to do something about Junior, but he's reluctant. He doesn't want to do something. The sheriff doesn't like these girls. He does not want them in town. He wants him and his buddies to be able to drink and party and whatever at this closed marina. He doesn't want these girls there. So he kind of, looks past all the bullshit. And, there's all kind of, weird stuff in this movie. At one point, there's a boat chase between one of the girls and a bunch of coon asses and P-Rose and shit. It's weird, man. They do some cool stuff. Anyway, all hell kind of breaks loose at the end when they discover that this girl that they take in, they find her body. She was murdered. So then they kind of decide, okay, we're going to go to this other town and get this other police officer to come down here and help us with this, because this shit is getting serious and this local sheriff doesn't seem to give a fuck. So Bud is going to leave to go get the sheriff, but then Bud is attacked and he's killed. And now bodies are starting to turn up, and Junior starts attacking these women, and he's gonna pretty much kill all of them. But what ends up happening is Casey and Joe are able to trap Junior in a giant fish net, and they have him hanging from the ceiling, and they think, this is finally over. We're gonna go get the sheriff. But then you come to find out that, although Junior was kind of a part in this, he was really a pawn. That the sheriff was the one who was actually killing all these people. He was telling Junior to terrorize them, and then he would kind of go in the background and murder all these people at this marina. They would abduct women and shit like that. So when all the shit hits the fan, the sheriff decides that he's going to let Junior take the fall for this shit. And he's going to burn the girls alive in this marina, and he's just going to wipe it all under the rug. But what ends up happening is this whole time this shit's going down, Junior's mother is watching this from her house with her binoculars. And when she sees that the sheriff has her son trapped, she shows up and kills the sheriff. But then, just as Casey and Joe are escaping this marina, it all goes up in flames, and Junior and both, him and his mother are burned alive. So, you kind of have two final girls in this movie. Casey and Joe end up walking away, scratch free, when pretty much everybody around them is murdered. And it wasn't a horrible movie. I wouldn't say that it was up there in ranks with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Nightmare on Elm Street. As far as the killing and the murdering and even the harassment goes, it was really mild. It wasn't really all that gory, like I expected it to be based on the cover. It wasn't really that gory at all, even though they do have some murder scenes in this film. It's nothing that'll make you lose your breakfast, But all in all, it's a decent story. I would probably give this a 5, maybe a 5.5. I mean, it was completely watchable, but it just wasn't. There was nothing to elevate this, beyond other movies. It was just kind of a basic, middle of the field kind of horror slasher type film. It really didn't do anything to stand out and set itself apart from everything else. But it was decent. I mean, it was watchable. It's something that, if you wanted to check out, there's really no reason to avoid it. In other words, it's worth a watch at least one time. Of course, I have the Prism VHS release. This did get a Blu-ray. I can't remember what label put it out. As far as I know, it is not streaming anywhere. I did check Tubi, and it's not on Tubi, and which Tubi pretty much has just about any of these older movies. I mean, Tubi usually does really good on their horror selection, but they did not have Junior on there. It wasn't on Amazon Prime either. They usually have a pretty good horror selection. I don't know about Shudder, but anyway, I looked around. It's not really streaming anywhere. So if you want to watch Junior, you're going to have to track down, a DVD, Blu-ray, or your VHS copy. Of course, I recommend the VHS as always. Wasn't a horrible flick. One thing I will say is I kind of feel bad for these two ladies who played Casey and Joe, because even though it wasn't, an overly gruesome movie, they did have these women, just kind of do some, I wouldn't really say fucked up, but maybe uncomfortable stuff. Like at one point where they meet this pimp, I thought it was a fucking just a weird turn of events. He pours out a bunch of, I guess, what they was trying to portray as cocaine all over the hood of this car, and he starts slamming one of these women's face in the cocaine that's all over the hood and shit, and busting her lip all open. That was weird, and kind of overly violent, and I thought it was a little funny. And there was another part where they meet this guy on this houseboat, and one of the girls kind of starts dating him. And one of the things they do is he would catch fish, and he would bring these girls fish, and they would like cook the fish for him, and they would have dinner together or whatever. So Casey and Joe get back to the bar one day, and there's some fish hanging by the door on, like a trout line. So they figured that it was from this guy, and they were going to go ahead and clean and cook this fish. But in reality, Junior put this fish there, and the fish is full of fucking worms and maggots and shit. So when she cuts this fish open, all these worms and maggots and crap start falling out, and Junior shows up and starts grabbing these worms and like fucking trying to shove them in this poor girl's mouth. And I was like, man, that just had to be a shitty scene to film for this poor woman, But there were some cool scenes in this movie. It just was nothing super special, but I mean, yeah, it's worth checking out, man. I enjoyed it. I probably won't watch it again for quite some time. It's not something that I'm gonna go back to on a regular basis to check out. But I do really fucking dig the cover art. I wish my box wasn't so beat to shit like this. But I mean, it's really gonna look good on the shelf, man. So it's gonna be one that's gonna stay in my collection for sure. All in all, I think it's worth picking up, man. If you could get a really good deal on it. I'm not sure what they sell for. I haven't looked them up. This is a tape that I found at a thrift store. I paid 25 cents for this, which, I mean, at that price, you can't go wrong with any movie. But if I had to guess, I would say it's probably like a $20 tape. I don't know if I'd pay more than $25 for a copy of Junior, but that's probably what they're going for. Even though These Prism full flap boxes are pretty sought after, and they could get kind of pricey. But just being, the type of movie this is and stuff, I don't think it would cost more than that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, man, thank you guys.
When night falls, get ready for the shock of your lives. What started out as fun and games is getting out of hand. The good old boys want you, and they're going to get you any way they can. They know you're all alone, and there's no one you can turn to for help. And in this neck of the woods, a girl on her own is fair game.